What's up, guys? I'm Dan Langan, and this is Dan Can Bake It. All right, so Food Network sent me this box, and hopefully there's a clue inside as to what I have to create this week. So I'm gonna open it up and take a look. Flowers, all right. I know my way around some flowers when it comes to cake, so hopefully this is something I can handle. Make a realistic bouquet of flowers, vase and all. All right, so I've made a lot of cakes with flowers before, but I've never made a vase that's a cake. And I definitely want to take it in a more creative direction than just a plain old vase. So I cannot wait to take on this challenge. I'm so pumped to get going. Let's start that brainstorming. All right, so now that I have my cake sketched out, I have some 8-inch confetti cakes. This is a butter cake. It's an awesome recipe for any type of sculpted cake because it's nice and firm. And I also have some buttercream right here. It's an all butter buttercream. And these two things together are going to make a delicious, strong cake that's perfect for carving. Grab my spatula. I like to just rock the spatula back and forth and then let the turntable do most of the action. So, final layer going on. Looks nice and flat, nice and straight. And what I'm gonna do now is just take my spatula and just clean up some of this buttercream that's kind of peeking out the sides. So I have some gaps here. It happens all the time when you bake a cake because cakes never bake perfectly level. So if you have some gaps in between your cake layers when you're filling them, all you have to do is kind of backfill them. It's kind of like spackling. So you just add a little bit and then you scrape it off. All right, so I think this looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is pop this in the fridge for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, just so that it gets nice and firm. Then it'll be a lot easier to carve. All right, so this is nice and solid, the buttercream. It really firmed up in the fridge. So what I'm gonna do to make my watering can cake is carve this cake just a little bit at the top to kind of taper it down. So I have 8-inch cakes. I also have a 7-inch cake board. So what I'm gonna do is center my 7-inch cake board on top, and I'll just hold it with my finger. And then I'm just going to take my serrated knife that I use to carve cakes and just kind of start making like a rough little marker of where I want all this carving to happen. And the trick here is to just take off less than you think you need because you can always go back. You can keep carving, but it gets to be kind of a pain when you take off too much cake and then you have to backfill it. All right, so every once in a while you wanna stop, kind of get down to eye level with your cake, see how it's looking. I'm gonna grab this icing scraper, and what I'm gonna do is hold it up to the side of the cake. It's touching both cardboards. I wanna see if the scraper is hitting any cake. If it is, I have to cut that cake away because I need that room for ganache. All right, so white chocolate ganache. It's 5 parts white chocolate chips, 1 part heavy cream. You melt it together in the microwave, stir it maybe like every 30 seconds. It's a great thing to use to frost your cakes because it gets nice and solid. But then once the cake is covered, you go back and you scrape it and it gets nice and smooth. So I have this spread all the way to the bottom. I'm going to give this just a once over with my spatula, and then I'll grab my bench scraper. This is stainless steel. I love this thing. It gets a nice, smooth scrape on my cakes. All right, so one more trip into the fridge. While this ganache firms up, I can get started rolling out my fondant. One of the most challenging parts about making this watering can is having this handle that's gonna stick out from the side of the cake and stay in place. And that can be super challenging, but an easy fix for that is to just put some wire inside the handle. You're not gonna see it. It's not going to go into the cake. So I'm using styrofoam here because I wanna have this spout extending out from this watering can cake a good bit. And in order for it to stand up, I have to make it as light as possible. All right, so this looks pretty good. I'm gonna set this dowel down, seam side down, and I'll just let these dry. I've got some more teal fondant here. So I like to have this be nice and stretchable, just like this. If it's stretching kind of like when it's in the air, it's gonna stretch when it's on your cake, which is always what you're looking for. All right, so this is firmed up beautifully. If you can hear that, it sounds nice and hollow. It's definitely nice and solid, nice and sturdy. So to get this fondant to stick to the ganache, I just use plain old shortening. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just pick this piece of fondant up, lay it right over the top, just like that. If I feel like it's a little sticky, I'll just put some cornstarch on top, and then I'll grab my fondant smoother and just smooth from the center out. And before I move this out of the way, I wanna grab my measuring tape here because I have to measure around the entire cake and see how much fondant I need, right? So let's see. Looks like about 27 inches should be good. So I'll try and roll out like 27, 28. It's gonna stretch a little. I'm gonna place this fondant right up against the edge of my cake. And then as I unroll it, I wanna push it into place. So I have like a ton of extra stuff here, a ton of extra fondant here at the bottom. So I'm just gonna cut away what I know is extra, the portion that I don't need. So I'm just cutting along my cake board. It's like I said when I was ganaching this cake, it's all about keeping that sharp top edge, keeping everything squared off. This is the challenge. I mean, this has to look like a real watering can. So it's these little steps that really make that difference in the end, I think. All right, I think this looks really awesome. It looks super smooth, just like the outside of a watering can. So what I wanna do now is let this fondant kind of like firm up. So I'll pop it in the fridge for about 10, 15 minutes and the sugar in the fondant's gonna harden up. All right, so while that fondant firms up in the fridge, I'm gonna get started on making all of the wafer paper flowers to fill my watering can cake. So I'll just take a pair of scissors and I'm just gonna cut it out. So towards the bottom of the petal, I'm just going to cut nice and even and follow that line of the cutter. But as I get towards the top, I'm just gonna ruffle it a little bit. So I'll just kind of move my scissors back and forth as I cut along that top line. The first thing I wanna do is shape this. So wafer paper, it likes moisture, but not too much. So the perfect way to shape it is with a clothing steamer. So as soon as this steam comes up, I'm gonna hold with my fingers and my thumbs, I'm gonna hold that wafer paper petal right around the styrofoam ball. And as it starts to soften, I'm gonna pull the paper in on itself so it kind of cups and rounds out. I wanna hold this in place as it cools so that it keeps its shape. And then when it doesn't feel hot anymore, I'll just pull it back. And I'll do this with 6 petals and then I can arrange them into a full tulip. I'll bend back the rest of the wires and I'm gonna grab my airbrush and I'll give these a little bit of color before I assemble the flower. So I've got my airbrush ready to go. I have some yellow airbrush color here. So let's get this tulip assembled. So I'll take my first petal, I'll place the bottom tip of the petal right at the tip of the lollipop stick and I'll wrap around once. I'll grab another one. So I'll take 3 more, and I want to position these leaves so they overlap the gaps created by that first row. So I'll make a ton of these in all different nice pastel colors, and then I'll be able to arrange them into a really nice, full, beautiful arrangement into the top of my watering can cake. And I'm so excited because like I'm so close to finishing this. I cannot wait to get these gorgeous flowers into this cake. So I want to raise up the top of this cake a little bit. So I have this kind of like sausage of fondant that's pointed at the ends. And I'm gonna wrap it around the front of the cake, just like this. All right, so I have my handle, my spout, everything's had a chance to dry. So I want my spout to be right about here. I gave myself about 3.5 inches for that to fit in. So now I'll hold this here, and I'm just gonna push it in. We'll see what happens. That looks pretty awesome. All right, so I'm going to put this handle on here. Same thing, I wanna try and like center it straight back. I'll push that straight into the side, and at the same time, gonna push that into the top of the cake. I think it looks so awesome. I think the only thing left that it needs is a bunch of flowers to fill it up. So let's do it. So whenever I have this many flowers, the first thing I do is always like take a deep breath, stand back, look at what I have. You don't wanna just go, you know, sticking flowers into a cake. You have to have kind of like a plan. So I'll start just at the very center and I'm just gonna press them straight in. All right, guys, this cake looks so much more incredible than I thought it was going to. I have created arrangements on cakes with flowers and wafer paper flowers before, but this is like a whole nother level of awesome. I cannot stop smiling. It looks so good. So the challenge was to create a vase filled with flowers out of cake. I think I went a little bit more creative. I created an entire watering can out of cake and filled it with a whole variety of wafer paper flowers. Right, it's the magic shot. As beautiful as this cake is on the outside, like those rainbow sprinkles on the inside, it just makes it. It looks so cool. All right, I'm going for some cake and some buttercream. Cake's tender, it's buttery, and these rainbow sprinkles, it just tops the whole thing off. It's like you're a kid eating a slice of birthday cake. It's perfect. So I think I really knocked this one out of the park, but you know what? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. How do you think I did? Let me know what you'd like to see in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to Food Network on YouTube.